Hey everyone, Tony Phelan here with the Ultimate F1, and today we're going to be discussing a little bit about the 2018-2019 UF1 Series. Okay, the first thing we're going to discuss is this year's schedule. This year's schedule is going to start in September of this year and end in April next year. It's a 7-race series. You'll be allowed one throwout. The schedule is as follows. Round 1, September 16th, Australian Grand Prix. It's going to be at TQRC Raceway. Round 2, October 14th, Chinese Grand Prix, Cal Raceway. Round 3, November 11th, Spanish Grand Prix back at TQRC Raceway. December is going to be the winter break. A lot of people have things going on during December, so we decided we weren't going to have any races in December, so it's kind of like a winter break. Round 4 is going to be January 13th, Canadian Grand Prix at Cal Raceway. Round 5, February 10th, GP de France, TQ Raceway. Round 6, March 10th, Japanese Grand Prix at Cal Raceway. And then the final race, April 7th, United States Grand Prix, we're back at TQ Raceway. So this year we're actually going to have two formula classes. We're going to have Formula 1, which is basically experts, and Formula 2, which is based more for sportsman guys. Each class will have their own championship. Formula 2 will have basically sportsmen, all guys running against kind of everybody at their own speed. And the winner of the Formula 2 season will be bumped automatically to the Formula 1 class for the following season. Okay, so rules, we're going to do a quick thing on the rules here. If you want to see specifics and any more information, if you go to the UF1RC.com website, there's a bunch of footnotes down below the rules section that kind of gives you a little bit more information about this. But Formula 1 this year will be running a 21.5 turn, up to a 21.5 turns motor, Roar Legal approved motor. Formula 2 will be running a Roar Legal approved 25.5 turn motor. Both Formula 1 and Formula 2 class, Roar Legal ESCs, no boost. Both Formula 1 and Formula 2 tires, rubber tires, F1 scale, must be available to the general public. For the sportsman class, the expert guys, you kind of know which tires work. For the sportsman class, we will have suggested tires for both Cal Raceway and TQ Raceway on the website. So if you're not sure which tires are going to work best, or you don't know the starting point, we'll have some of those on there for you. The bodies for both Formula 1 and Formula 2 are F1 scale, molded front and rear wing. No Lexan wings. They must have a molded front wing. Most cars accept a molded, similar to this, a molded front wing from either Tamiya or maybe Associated or even some other guys, so that shouldn't really be a problem. All cars must be two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. There's a 190 millimeter max width, 270 millimeter max wheelbase. You can run a 2S LiPo or 6-cell nickel metal. I'm going to guess not too many guys run at 6-cell. They're going to run 2S LiPo. Long or short packs are both legal in the UF1. Battery voltage, 8.44 volts, so no charging your packs at 70 amps to try and get the most out of them. We may spot check. If it looks like people are like pounding the heck out of the batteries, we may spot check the batteries. Minimum weight for both classes, 1,050 grams. Minimum ride height for both classes, 3 millimeters. Suspension systems. We are going to allow all suspension systems in the UF1, including independent. The independent may have a bit of an advantage on maybe outdoor course, maybe not so much indoor. But if we see that the independent cars are really kind of cleaning up, we will take a look at this, maybe add a weight penalty, something like that to kind of even the cars out. And no driving aids are allowed in the Formula 1 or Formula 2 class. You can modify your radio to make adjustments on the car from the radio, but nothing in the car, and the speed controls, traction control, any of that. None of that is legal in the UF1. All right, so how do you become a Formula 1 driver? Well, we are going to have a free run day, July 7th and 8th, I guess free run days, July 7th and 8th at Cal Raceway. Track will be open at 9. Gates will open at 9, track will open at 10, first qualifier is 11, last qualifier is at 4. At the top of every hour from 11 to 4, so 6 sessions, there'll be a 20-minute qualifying session that you will need to run, you will need to qualify for the Formula 1 class. What does that mean? We are going to announce a lap time. We don't know what that is yet because we don't know what the layout's going to be yet. But we'll announce a lap time, and you'll need to hit that lap time 3 consecutive laps in a row. If you hit that fast lap 3 consecutive times in a row, you will be qualified for the Formula 1 class. If you can't hit that, then you'll be running in the sportsman class. On July 7th, you'll have 6 qualifying sessions. On July 8th, you'll have 6 qualifying sessions. So what does that mean? Okay, so everybody will show up running 25.5 turn motors. There will be no 21.5 turn motors allowed because there's no F1 drivers. It's all F2 drivers. So 25.5 turn motors. You'll run your qualifying sessions on Saturday and Sunday. If you hit the lap time, you then are qualified for Formula One. You can put a Formula One. You can put a 21.5 motor in. You can leave. You can continue practicing and tuning. But that's the qualifying format for Formula One. Now, there are about 15 drivers that are being grandfathered into the Formula One. Basically, drivers who have finished in the top 5 of any UF1 season. And those drivers are Aaron Lane, Bill Jarek, Bill Martinez, Charles Lightfoot, Craig Hammond, Dave Berger, Jonathan Christian, Kevin Cole, Lee Passell, Mike Kennedy, Mike Ridwell, Robert Igudiez, sorry if I butchered that, Ron Schuer, Sean Parks, Steven Jackson, and myself. We are automatically Formula One drivers, so you guys do not have to show up to qualify unless you want to show up to do any kind of testing and tuning. You're more than welcome to do that. Okay, so let's go over a little bit about the UF1 racing format. It's a little different than any other kind of races. There's actually 1 qualifier and 3 main events instead of potentially 3 qualifiers and 1 main event. The qualifying for UF1 is as follows. It's a 3-minute qualifying format. You'll get 3 minutes on the track to post as many laps as you can. The way that you are seeded for the main event is it will average your 5 fastest lap times and put you, doesn't matter what run list, if there's 10 races, it's going to mix you within that 10 races. The computer will average a driver's 5 fastest laps, produce an average qualifying lap time. They do not need to be consecutive, they just need to be fast laps. TQ for the day will earn an additional 2 points for the race day. Okay, so why we did this. In typical qualifying, fast lap, single fast lap, 1st through 10th place could be, I don't know, 6 or 7, 8, maybe 9 seconds difference. When we've used the 5-lap average, we have had 1st through 10th place qualifiers, 1 second difference. So hundredths of a second is what it put it. So it's kind of an exciting format. It's very realistic to F1 the way it is. So 3-minute qualifying. Main events. Formula One drivers will get 3 main events. Each main event will be 15 minutes. Formula 2 drivers will get 3 main events, but those main events will only be 10 minutes apiece. Pit stops. Formula 1 drivers will need to make 2 pit stops in the first 10 minutes of each main. So in a 15-minute main event, you have to do 1 complete lap, and then the pit lane is open. You can use those pit stops whenever you want to within 10 minutes of that race. The last 5 minutes of the race is simply all-out racing. There's no pit stops allowed, so that it makes it a little bit easier for the race director to call traffic when he knows that nobody else is in the pits. It's you know, there's no pit maneuvers that need to be done. Formula 2, drivers are required to make 1 pit stop in the first 5 minutes of every main. So in a 10-minute race, you do 1 complete lap, the pit lane is open. After 5 minutes in your race, the pits are closed, and you will need to make your pit before that. If you do not make your pit, if you forget to do your pit, you get a 2-lap penalty. 2-lap penalty to your end time. So it's, you know, you got to keep track of your pits. The race director will let you know when the pits are open and when the pits are closing, so you need to know to make your pits. Okay, scoring. We use a 100 to 1 point system in 1 point increments. So first place gets 100 points, second place gets 99, third place gets 98, etc. That works for both Formula 1 and Formula 2 classes. Again, top qualifier earns 2 points for the day. And points are assessed to each racer after each full main is concluded. So if you happen to qualify in, let's say, the B run group, it's not really main events because they're just race groups. Everybody's kind of scored together. So if you're in the B race group and you win your main event at a time that would have put you, basically that time will reflect your overall. So you could actually win the B main group, and even though you're in the B main group, you could have points to put you first, second, third, fourth overall, depending on your overall finishing time. So you could sandbag to stay into a lower group, but then you're running with slower cars, you never know if they're going to get out of the way or whatever the case may be. So you just kind of have to play your cards on how you want to do your qualifying. So what are the benefits of being an F1 driver? Well, we're trying to add a couple things to kind of make it a little more prestigious, a little more fun. The first thing is car liveries. You will be required to run a Formula One livery. Now, it does not have to be an actual team, but it does need to be something that looks like a Formula One team would use. Formula 2 drivers do not need to run liveries unless you want to. You can run single color paint jobs, you can run flames and drips. There's no requirement, but Formula One drivers will need to run some sort of realistic-ish livery on your car. Formula One drivers will also be allowed to have teams, so you'll be able to be doing the Constructors' Championship as well. Formula 2, no teams, just Formula One. Pick yourself a driver, a teammate, paint your cars the same, and you can, try and win the Constructors' Series like that we've done in the past. The other thing we're going to be giving away is we're going to be giving away a UF1 super license. It's going to have your picture, it's going to have your flag of origin. It's pretty cool. And basically, once you've earned your UF1 super license, you do not need to qualify for the Formula One class ever again. You're basically a Formula One driver. The downside, you cannot race Formula 2 ever. You'll have to race Formula One class. The last kind of cool thing, we've got a couple of things that we're still working on, but the last cool thing I can announce now is the ability for F1 drivers will get the ability to choose your permanent F1 numbers. You pick 44, 3, whatever. Well, 3 is actually mine. That's the one I've chosen. That one's not on the board, but any other number, permanently yours, and nobody else can use that number in the UF1, in the F1 class. Formula 2 guys, if they want to duplicate the numbers, that's their deal. We'll let them do that, but Formula One, you get to choose your permanent UF1 number. Okay, so that's basically a little bit of information about the 2018-2019 UF1 Series. All the rules that we've talked about will be available on the UF1 website, so you can go there and check them out. We've also got a cool video coming up of a pit stop procedure. So those of you who are not familiar with it will get to see how we do the pit stop, so you'll be familiar with it. And that's about it. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we've got a lot of cool videos coming out. And if you have any other questions, you go to the UF1 website and go to the contact page and let me know what you guys think. If you have any other ideas or just general info. All right. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.